India, right? So with that, the relationship is to another level, and also when the China and India is in between the China and India also, we still manage to have a better relationship with India.
Thank you. Friends, I'm really happy that Mr. Saidullah used the word elder brother. India's relations with all its neighbors are not that of big brother. They are of elder brother. We are brothers, and we are there in the sorrows and happiness of our neighbors. We're always there, and with Sri Lanka, we enjoy that very special relationship. By the way, as Honorable MP mentioned, tourism between our two countries is a very big aspect of our relationship. You talked about diplomatic and non-diplomatic relationships. 600, 700,000 tourists are visiting Sri Lanka every year now. We are the largest component of your tourism.
Of course, India is contributing the best, the number one tourism in Sri Lanka. Even not only the Friday to Sunday tourists, even the long-term tourists, even some Indian film industries using Sri Lankan location, that also help to improve the Sri Lankan tourism. Of course, at this with the war in the Middle East, Sri Lankan tourism got affected. I hope India will come forward to help for that also, to uplift the Sri Lanka tourism again, as usual.
Thank you. Thank you, Excellency. May I turn to Mr. Balakrishna from Mauritius? Mr. Balakrishna,
yes.
So glad that we have you here. Friends, when we talk about Mauritius, we generally think that Mauritius is a country with, people of Indian origin. No doubt. I mean, 60% almost are people of Indian origin.
Yes, yes.
But you have almost 35 to 40% mixed origin Creole people also. Nevertheless, African mixed origin and African people also. But India's relationship with Mauritius has never seen any ups and downs. You have many different governments changed, you are a good democracy. How do you see the trajectory of this relationship?
We are like the Chote Bharat. That's what we call in Mauritius. We are the Chote Bharat, and India is the Bade Bharat. So let me first thank Mr. Kartiki for this challenge he took at this stage when the world is facing something which is impacting globally. While we are sitting here, we are gathering here, India is uniting, but we are facing division in the East. The East, they are suffering. And here, we are trying to get everyone together to create that unity in diversity. We want to build that relationship together to bring peace to the world. And this is what our elder brother is doing, our Bade Bharat. So let me talk about Mauritius. Mauritius depends a lot upon India. And India has always been here to help. India is always present when we are facing hardship. And India is always and will always be at our disponibility. So basically, Mauritius is seen as the best tourism place for Indian people. And we see India as our powerful tool. We use the technology, and now we are looking at your help to empower Mauritius in the cyber criminality, in their technology, in AI, in financial, and we want to bring that financial sector closer. We need to say that we depend a lot on India, and that relationship needs to stay, and it will keep growing in the future. And one thing I need to mention is that in the Indian Ocean, Mauritius plays a big role for India.
Thank you. That's a very important point, Excellency. In the Western Indian Ocean, we have Mauritius as a very important partner with India in managing Indian Ocean in a peaceful manner, and we always cherish this relationship. We will certainly come back to what is happening in the world, Excellency. May I turn to Mr. Deepak Prakash Bhatt. Deepak ji, about Nepal, what do I say? We are two countries, but one people. We share so much in common. We have so much in common, right from our culture to our festivals to our names. Deepak is a very normal name in the entire country here also. So how do you see the relationship going forward? You have a new government. My congratulations to you. You had successful elections, elected a totally new government. You know, we have dealt with leaders who have been in politics for 3 decades, 4 decades. Now we will be dealing with leaders who have just joined politics 2 years ago. How do you see the prospects for the relationship?
Nepal-India relations have been extremely good. We are all friends, and indeed we have a very close economic cooperation and trade cooperation, and of course the security and all the fields of the nation-state relations. And one very interesting thing India is doing greatly in the global field is like economic transformation, which have been implementing in the many areas of like the digital economy, economic connectivity with the neighbors, and that has been transforming Nepal's trade and other things also, because we have been jointly building new transportation mechanisms, interconnectivity with the border areas, like building integrated checkposts, dry ports, and all the other things. And at the same time, the digital world and the digital economy, India has been greatly contributing in the world stage, and at the same time, that has been impacting Nepal's. And in the education field, which India is achieving greatly and interconnectedly, it's contributing to the Nepal also. And Nepal, as society remained very dynamic in changing the governments and all these things in the last 7 or 8 decades, we have introduced many political systems. Like, you know, we introduced democracy in 1950 when India got independence. Now, as recently, on the 5th March, we have a new government. We call it the algorithmic democracy. We have seen that the party which formed only 3 or 4 years ago have got 2/3 majority in the parliament. Only 2 seats are lacking. So more than 40% people are under 35 of the age now. So that we are waiting, and we'll wait and see that how they will recalibrate their relations with the new, with the government of India. But in a long run, as I see that, you know, not only from the government to government perspective, but from the people to people, and of course the religious, civilizational, and traditional aspects, we have a large mobility, and you know, like that's from the Pashupati to Lumbini and Sarna to all the religious, you know, like the places we have been, you know, like visiting or in a traditional way. So I think in the days to come, we will have a very more cordial relation, more balanced relation, and definitely at some point from Indian side and the government of the new government in Nepal will recalibrate the relations in the days to come.
I'm sure. Thank you so much. In fact, you have highlighted a very important point that you have seen so much of political instability in Nepal. But it seems that the democracy in Nepal has matured today. You seem to have a government which is likely to be very stable with the kind of majority that they have today. We hope to see this government, I mean, between 2008, when you had officially discarded Rajshahi, to today, 2026, you almost have 15, 16 prime ministers. But I think now you will have a good, stable government, and India is looking forward to definitely working with this new government, coming with no baggage, fresh leadership, very dynamic, young leadership. We really look forward, Excellency. Excellency, I turn to you, Mr. Chantharong. I hope I spelled your name correctly. Our Member of Parliament is from Lao PDR, Lao People's Democratic Republic. Not exactly a neighbor with India, but our neighbor's neighbor. It neighbors Myanmar and then, of course, Vietnam, but a landlocked country, but an important country. Excellency, we have not very strong bilateral relations. Your relationship was more with China, with Thailand, other neighbors. But how do you see India in your Lao PDR scheme of things?
Thank you very much. My name is Chan Pavong. You spelled it correctly.
Thank you.
I'm from the National Assembly of the Lao PDR. It's so satisfactory to see the friendly relations between Laos and India over time. Laos and India has been like brothers for a long, long time. In 1954, the former Prime Minister Nehru visited Laos, and after that, in 1956, our diplomatic relations has been created, and since then, we have known each other more, and we have supported each other in different areas. There are regular exchanges at high level from the president of the country, prime minister level, and minister and other sectoral levels, including people-to-people exchange. And we never have any dispute in our relationship, and we always support India in regional and international arena. Laos is a small country with a population of 7 million, and you said landlocked country. Fortunately, through BRI, now has been connected to the world, passing through ASEAN. ASEAN to Laos and over to China, to India, to Europe, to the world, to our fast train. And I hope in the near future our relation will further expand in more areas, more sectoral areas. Thank you.
Thank you, Excellency. You gave a major rail connectivity project from Vientiane to China to a Chinese company, and it is successfully operationalized last year, if I remember correct, or 2 years ago, and you do a lot of trade. We look forward that you give similar project to India, from Vientiane to Hanoi or Vientiane to some Vietnamese capital, so that India can also be a big player in your economy. Friends, we have our great friend, Mr. Naseem from Maldives. Excellency, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, so again, Maldives and India have been very close friends. We have seen ups and downs, I don't deny that, in our relationship. But there is general goodwill, irrespective of regime changes. And today we have a new government for last more than 2 years in your country now. And your president visited India. We have a very good relationship now. How do you see this relationship going forward?
Well, Maldives and India have had really close relations for decades, not just bilaterally, but the people-to-people connection has always been there, from Bollywood movies to the food. We have been culturally intertwined for decades. And yes, we have had a very rough patch recently. This was because the then opposition, so it fit in that they could use India and some disinformation related to India to stoke public sentiments against the then government. However, they're now in government, and I am glad that they now realize that, you know, India will always remain the first responder to Maldives in times of crisis, be it the 2003 tsunami, the 2014 water crisis, or the COVID recently. And we have, as you mentioned, we have had Prime Minister Modi recently visit the Maldives, and I do hope that our relations remain as strong as it was before.
Thank you. Friends, like Mauritius, Maldives is also an important partner for us in the Western Indian Ocean region. Maldives is much closer to India, and mutual cooperation is also very big. I know that a lot of supplies to Maldives come from Kerala, from Kochi and other ports. So we have a great trade independence, mutual goodwill, mutual cooperation. I hope this relationship will definitely go forward. Friends, we have heard the bilateral part from all our 5 participants. I thought we will have some 10-12 minutes time. I would like to probably trouble them for their views on what is happening in the world today. How do they see it from the perspective of their country? But probably, Mr. Nasim, we will start with you. How do you view whatever is happening in the world, especially the conflicts, right now the Iran conflict, or Gaza, or Ukraine? How does Maldives see it? What role is Maldives wanting to play in this, if at all it is playing any role?
I think as an opposition MP, this has been a real concern for me personally. We have had MPs summon cabinet ministers to the parliament to question what the government's vision is and how it's going to tackle the incoming crisis. However, the official stand of the Maldives government has been that, things are going well. However, I think that, as a country heavily dependent on tourism, primarily, the economy has always been dependent on tourism, and we have had multiple cancellations, flight cancellations in recent times, and this is going to be, our economy is going to take a real hit due to this. And I think we need to, as a country, we really need to be prepared, and we also rely on oil, and the oil prices have been skyrocketing the last week, and also all of our imports. We are a country that import almost 90% of our products. So I think that as a country that is highly susceptible to external shocks, we need to be prepared, and I think we need to have a real plan going forward.
Thank you. You can always bank on India. I wish you all good. You don't face any major problems, but India is always there with you. Excellency, what do you think about the global scenario? What is the view of Nepal, Nepalese people, government?
At the global stage, I think the global order is shifting, or almost changing in a new way, but we still have to wait that in which way it will move forward. Bretton Woods institutions or the UN system is deteriorating, and that has been denied by US again. And at the global stage, the climate change has become a very challenging issue, as global warming and other issues related to the global climate governance issues have become a pertinent. And personally, I think India is becoming a third largest economy and doing great at the national level, but at the same time, it have to have more connectivity and more contribution to the sub-region, as we always talk about the less connected South Asia. So it needed to be more addressed in a sub-regional issues, where can be like, the disaster and all other areas of cooperation can be at the priority, as it is doing at its great level. But I think there are possibilities of engaging sub-regional institutions in a manner. And as we see the recent phenomena in the West Asia, that triggered the global deterioration of the geopolitical or the geo-economic connectivity. Supply chain systems have been disrupted, and that has shown that we are entering into a very chaotic situation in the global stage.
Again, you have a good neighbor in India. I'm sure you will be assured about that. Excellency, I know that I talked about other issues like Iran war, Ukraine war, etc. But you have some issues in your own backyard. What is happening about your own islands and all that? How do you see this impacting Mauritius security and all that?
I know what you're coming from. We got the Diego Garcia, and it is hard for us to face this challenge being a small island. And we rely on India enormously, because we know you're the elder brother, you will be supporting us. And especially being relying on the tourism sector, it's very hard for us if things deteriorate in the future. And especially if Emirates not coming, everyone transiting from Dubai to Mauritius, And I think my neighbor Maldives will be the same, because we are highly reliable on tourism sector. But we are sure India will be here to give us a support, because we are in the Indian Ocean.
Thank you. Excellency, you have seen conflict spilling over into your neighborhood.
Yeah, with the Iranian war, it has affected to the Sri Lanka's dollar revenue. Basically, there are 4 pillars to Sri Lanka's dollar revenue. One is tourism, one is remittance, one is export, and foreign direct investment. The tea export and the garment export has got affected, and also remittance is getting affected, tourism is getting affected. But we don't need to worry, because as our largest trade partner, largest tourism partner, and as cultural partner, our big brother is there for bailout.
Thank you. Thank you. Excellency, you are also a member of the ASEAN. Probably you are the only member from ASEAN group of countries. What view does ASEAN take about the current conflict?
Laos, as a small country, always follow the foreign policy of peace, respect peace, independence, while promoting collaboration and mutual interest, and always respect other nations in ASEAN, always respect ASEAN rules. So whenever we have some member of ASEAN, like a family, like brothers, have some argument, conflict, we always try to advise them to tackle matters very cautiously through peaceful negotiations and find solutions, best solutions for each.
Thank you. Thank you, Excellency. Friends, those are the views of our 5 important neighbors. One thing probably you all must have noticed, there is enormous goodwill for India and the relationship between India and the home country. All 5 of our colleagues see that as a very beyond the government relationship, not just a government to government, not just a diplomatic relationship, but beyond that, it is a people-to-people, civilizational, cultural relationship. We in Indian Ocean region, we are all countries which live in the Indian Ocean region. We are like one family, and Indian Ocean region is a natural region, unlike Indo-Pacific, which is a strategic construct. We are all a part of this Indian Ocean, great Indian Ocean region. We are civilizational relatives, cousins, that you have seen in the views of all our panelists today. I thank all of you for your candid views. Before I end, I don't see Karthikeya here. Mr. Balakrishnan talked about how Mr. Karthikeya tried to create unity here. One very big symbol of unity is that we have a Mauritian representative and a Maldivian representative on the same dais. I don't want to create any issue here, but I'm generally saying today these 2 countries have, of course, between them some issues to be sorted out. But India is always a platform where all of us come together, sit together, and discuss about all issues with an open mind and open heart. I thank all of you.
Before you finish, I think Lord Ross will settle the matter.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellencies. Thank you for your participation.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Ram Madhaji, thank you very much for hosting this conversation for NXT on our behalf this time. Ladies and gentlemen, we have another set of parliamentarians coming to you very, very shortly, but we have a brief interlude with a very special guest who has come not only all the way from the UK, but who's been visiting Gujarat in Vadodara. Lord Bhiku Parekh is with us. Lord Parekh, if I could request you to come and join us on our stage, and I'll call my colleague Uday Pratap Singh to have this conversation. We'll be discussing Gandhian philosophy. Uday, looking forward to having you on stage as my team escorts Lord Parekh onto the stage.
Welcome back to those of you still with us, and hello and welcome to those joining us now in this next session on the first day of NXT 2026. We have with us an extremely special guest who's a member of the House of Lords, United Kingdom, Lord Bhikkhu Parekh. He's also 91 years old, so let's have a loud round of applause to him. We're getting a lot of energy from you still, sir. Let me begin by just asking you, as our panel theme, of course, is on Gandhian philosophy. How much has the Gandhian philosophy influenced you in your life, in your learnings, and also in the service that you have done as a public representative in the United Kingdom? You, of course, come from the land of Gandhi yourself. You were born in Gujarat, now, of course, in the United Kingdom. How much has Gandhian philosophy influenced you?
Well, it's almost like it's almost like telling your autobiography in public. And I don't think I'm that distinguished or that important. But I would say that Gandhi was peculiar in many ways. Having done my own work, as any ex-colonial would, on the Western political thought for 35 years, I turned to Gandhi just as a matter of interest. And he found myself gripped by him. I was struck by the fact that he was not only a man of thought and action, as is the common practice, but the man for whom thought was action and action was thought. That he couldn't think about anything without wanting to put it into practice. If an idea came to him, his first question was, is it something worth putting into practice? And if it is it going to be of any benefit to mankind? If it is, right, we can proceed with it. Likewise, with the action he is contemplating, it provokes a series of thoughts, and he would theorize about them, whether he was fasting or doing any other things. So here was a man who was at once a man of both thought and action, and I was particularly intrigued by the way in which he combined his thought and his action, and in a very complicated kind of way. So that's how the Gandhi book emerged.
Let me also ask you a bit about, how you are carrying on that philosophy into action on ground there. You're, of course, the Vice President, I think, of the Gandhi Foundation there in the United Kingdom. You're also associated with other trusts and foundations as well. How is this philosophy, these thoughts influencing your action on ground there through the work this foundation does and through the work that you do as a public representative?
I mean, how did it affect me personally?
Yes, and what, how has it influenced the work that you're doing on ground as well?
Well, I mean, Gandhi is a strange figure. When he grips you, he grips you very profoundly. You can't get rid of him. And in my case, Gandhi became quite important, not so much as a model for political action, but rather as a model for a thinker who was in constant touch with the masses, with his own people, and embarked upon a series of actions. So Gandhi for me was significant at that level. And as I engaged with his thought, I found myself getting engaged with his action. And one or two very interesting ways in which he locates democratic discourse. That in a democratic discourse we are concerned to understand each other. Discourse is not merely about talking. It's about getting to the truth behind what the other person is saying. So for him, every person grasps reality, truth in a particular way. No one knows the full truth, or no one ever will grasp it. Therefore, your life is a journey, as Gandhi put it, from truth to truth. From limited aspect of truth that you will grasp to increasing contact with others with different points of view, and in the process of interaction with those others, you acquire deeper insight into truth.
Yes.
Now, if you accept that, then it leads to a very interesting theory of political action and liberal democracy. And here he goes beyond John Stuart Mill and Tocqueville and other liberals.
Yes.
Why? Sorry, you want to say something?
Yes, I want to quickly interject there because I also want to ask you about the Gandhian philosophy applicability in the world of today. In the world of today, we are of course seeing multiple conflicts raging. From the Middle East, that we're seeing right now, the war in Iran. We're also of course seeing the war in Ukraine continue. There's also of course a war that we've seen between Afghanistan and Pakistan, which also is continuing. So multiple conflicts raging, of course, and violence. What can the world of today learn from the Gandhian philosophy, and does the world of today need another Mahatma Gandhi?
Well, first of all, when I was in the audience listening to the proceedings of the day, I was a bit struck by the fact that the speeches were a little too loud, and I found it very difficult to concentrate. I decided that when I came to the platform, I shall follow your advice and go rather slowly so that you can hear what I have to say, rather than simply feel that you are being shouted at. Now, in Gandhi's case, the journey from truth to truth is the history of liberal democracy. Liberalism has its limits. It believes it has grasped the truth. The liberty is the central value. There is no other. People who don't live liberal, according to liberal principles are benighted and so on. Gandhi would have nothing to do with it. Liberal outlook simply means concentrating on a dialogue between persons of different points of view. And from that dialogue, that encounter, emerges a discourse, a shared discourse which you share in the course of talking to each other. And that's why Gandhi's theory, his theory of political action, is called satyagraha. That he says that in life, as in any other area of politics, you need to be able to stand up for your truth, accept whatever punishment is meted out to you, but stand firm for what you believe to be truth, and let the truth in you encounter the truth in the other person. And from that discourse, for which enough public space is made, from that discourse will emerge the beginning of something really interesting, new, and more important, truer.
You've stood for multiculturalism throughout your life. In fact, it's often referred to as the Parekh model as well of multiculturalism. You're one of the most respected theorists as well in cultural diversity, and your writings, of course, and views are much, celebrated and even inspirational today for thinkers and students. What has inspired your theory of multiculturalism, and how relevant is it even in the world of today that we live in, where often there are those who try and fight against multiculturalism sometimes?
Well, multiculturalism to me is the doctrine of the day. There is no salvation beyond it. And if you look at the way the world is moving, it is moving in a multicultural way. Let me explain, because this is a long story. I have written a big book published by Harvard University Press on rethinking multiculturalism. So I accept multiculturalism, but also the need to rethink some of its values. The basic idea is what Gandhi has practiced, what I have been advocating. Gandhi, for example, look at this man, Gandhi. He is a Hindu. He finds Hinduism inadequate in many ways. So he encounters Christianity and borrows a lot of ideas from Christianity. He goes a little further and then sees modern science and so on. So here is a man who is a Hindu, who is a Muslim, who is a Christian. Having borrowed ideas from all of these, he produces a multicultural political theory. Gandhi, to me, is a patron saint of multiculturalism because he is able to become an embodiment of different cultures. And Gandhi is, to me, a site, a space where different cultures are played out. And that's what saved India at the time. Otherwise, India could have gone the way of any other country at independence. The next question that you were asking me was, how relevant is it today? My answer is, it is. Because for the simple reason that in the age of globalization, different cultures interact, come into contact with each other, They can only survive if they live in peace. And the question ultimately is, how is it possible for two cultures to live in peace, to coexist without any kind of conflict? And that's what multiculturalism offers, that you are able to understand the other person in his own terms before you jump to a quick conclusion. And that, if I may say so, it becomes quite important. Gandhi would say, if you look at a Muslim wearing a veil and you become very critical, of course you can become critical if you want to, but first find out why is she wearing the veil, what is the meaning of that action. Similarly, I may take a different example, civil code in India, and how different communities are allowed different customs. And all that would indicate, or to take a very simple example, but from a different walk of life, when I was chairman of the Commission for Racial Equality, we found that in medical schools in India, Indian students generally tended to be rejected. Why? And we found out eventually that whenever they were interviewed, they were looking away from the interviewer, because this is the Indian way of showing respect. In an interview, if you look straight at somebody, that means arrogance. Indian students wouldn't do that. But all the interviewers were trained in their own culture said, oh, this guy is shifty, invariably a failure. So this goes to show that even at the practical level, apart from philosophical level, multiculturalism is the only key to life.
How nice, sir. And that's a good piece of advice that Lord Parekh has given to all those prospective job seekers as well. Because there are a lot of youngsters who are also in the audience today who will be job seekers. So that's a very good point of view that you've given them. I thank you so much, Lord Parekh, for your time. And those who want to know more about his life, well, here's his book as well, an autobiography called Talking Politics. Bhikkhu Parekh in conversation with Ramin Jahang Biglu. I'll encourage you all to read this as well. Thank you so much for your time, sir. Thank you
Lord
very much
Parekh,
for joining us.
Thank you for your time, Uday. Thanks a lot. It was a pleasure that you could take out time to join us, sir.
Thank you very much.
You've come especially for this, so kind of you. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we move on to our next parliamentarians panel, and this is a special one. Let me invite on stage Mr. Andrei Korebenik from Estonia, Mr. Timo Haraka from Finland, Lord Ross Kemsel from the United Kingdom, the Honorable Sanjay Pereira from Sri Lanka, and our very own Member of Parliament in the Lok Sabha, Mr. Tejasvi Surya. Could we have you all on stage? My colleague and Senior Executive Editor of NewsX, Megha Sharma, will be moderating this session.
Welcome all to this very interesting session in terms of the prevalence of artificial intelligence. Digital governance is what has been the focus of countries across the globe. I have with me a very vibrant, diverse panel, members of parliament from all across the globe. We have members of parliament, Mr. Andrei Korebenik from Estonia, Member of Parliament Timo Haraka, who's also former Minister of Transport and Communication to 2019 to 2023, Lord Ross Kemsel, Member of the House of Lords from United Kingdom. We have Honorable Sanjay Pereira, who's Member of Parliament Sri Lanka. We also have with us Shri Tejasvi Surya, Member of Parliament Lok Sabha, Bharat. I'm going to start my conversation with some straight questions. Mr. Timo Haraka, I want to understand from you, the end use case of digital governance, the success rate, and what have been the uses that have happened in Finland, in your country?
Well, thank you for having me here. It's a great pleasure and privilege. We have the honor of being very successful in ratings and comparisons in the European stage. So we've consistently being voted as the most advanced digital society. So I would say that digital first is a principle that is the most successful and most important in e-governance, meaning that by default people and citizens will interact with the government digitally, but there must always be an option of not doing so if there's some accessibility issues. But yes, you will have to go headlong to the deep end of digitalization.
Absolutely. Lord Kempsell, coming to you, again the same question. In your country, what has been the success rate of digital governance? If you could give me examples specifically of how it has been rolled out.
We have a large number of programs in the UK working on the improvement of digital government and e-services. A big part of that is the gov.uk program, which has recently been moving all of the ways in which citizens log in to government services to a single login, which has been a helpful development. But the key elements that I'm really excited about in terms of the UK's partnership with India on this, just in October of last year, the UK established a joint India-UK AI Centre, which is really promising, talking about the ways in which the public sector might use AI productively in those two countries. And I think increasingly we also are working on our joint technology initiatives in defence and in security in the public sector as well. So that's something I'm welcoming.
I'm going to ask the same question to you, Mr. Andrei Korobenik. Use case scenarios from Estonia, and are there examples that are also being imbibed from the success stories in other countries, even the governance model, e-governance model in Estonia?
Yeah, sure. So for Estonia, we actually started a long time ago. We have basically all the government services online. We have a tax department for 25 years. You can file your taxes in, I don't know, 1 minute. You just press the button and all the data gets there. You can get married online. You can get divorced online, which is especially convenient. We exported our e-government platform to Finland, and we are really proud of that because, you know, usually it goes back way. And we have online elections, so about half of people vote online and half go to the actual elections. And our challenge currently is to use AI more efficiently because AI can provide proactive solutions. So instead of like doing your business online, you can be notified about your health risks, for instance, about your opportunities of doing business, and so on and so on. So this is what is our next challenge. But this traditional e-government is quite successful in Estonia.
The same question to you, Mr. Pereira. In Sri Lanka, the success rate of digital governance?
Actually, becoming a e-state is a more important thing. That changes has to be happen. In Sri Lanka concern, of course, we have digital centralized, and we have connected all the institutions connected to the government, all the institutions. And actually, we have government sector, of course, services for the citizens, and the payments, of course, we have digitalized at the moment. But anyway, there are more institutions has to be connected to the digital system. The other hand, of course, now by doing that, of course, our people have better service and efficiency, and past service also, that advantage is there. So as far as when compared to other countries, we have achieved about 40%. But the problem is our urban area population is only 30 to 40%, but the majority are in village area. but the digital technology, the rural area of people, the citizens are not much used to that. So therefore, what we have introduced, only 30% are benefiting on that. That's the current situation in Sri Lanka.
Shri Tejasvi Surya, you know, we've heard the digital success stories from all these countries. But if you could again highlight, you know, when we talk about e-Shram, when we talk about direct benefit transfers, this has all been enabled very successfully in India through digital governance. If you could shed more light into this for our international audience.
Yes, thank you so much for having me here. And I think India has been a global case study in how digital public infrastructure can be deployed at population scale to enable better delivery of services, improve quality of life of citizens, and also most importantly, increase the efficiency in governance delivery. One example is the one that you mentioned about direct benefit transfer. The government of India has traditionally been supporting large sections of a population with subsidies. And these subsidies, because of lack of digital public infrastructure earlier, were leading to a lot of leakage. Since we introduced the Jan Dhan Aadhaar mobile, that is, you know, the Aadhaar ID, digital ID, and the mobile seeding and the bank seeding together, we have transmitted close to 45 lakh crore rupees to citizens in their bank accounts directly, and close to 4.5 lakh rupees has been saved, which would otherwise have gotten leaked. This is one example. Next example is how at population scale, India used the same digital public infrastructure, which is open and interoperable platform, to vaccinate the largest population in the world in the smallest possible time. So using the CoWIN platform, the country vaccinated 1 billion